Most people think transformation happens through massive change, a new job, a bold decision, a dramatic shift in direction. But the truth is, your life is quietly being shaped by the smallest things you do every day. Tiny habits don't announce themselves. They don't feel dramatic. In fact, most of them are so small they seem almost irrelevant. But over time, they compound. They rewrite who you are, how you think, and the kind of future you walk into. Think of them like drops of water carving stone. Nothing changes in a single moment. But given time, the entire landscape is reshaped. The difference between the person stuck in the same cycles and the person who seems to grow effortlessly isn't luck. It's that one of them is stacking tiny habits that quietly transform everything, while the other is overlooking them. These are not hacks. They're not quick tricks. They are simple, subtle actions that change you from the inside out. And if you start practicing them, you'll look back months from now and barely recognize who you've become. Habit 1. Morning sunlight. One of the smallest but most powerful things you can do for your body and mind is to step outside and get sunlight in your eyes within the first hour of waking. It sounds too simple to matter, but this single act resets your circadian rhythm, boosts your mood, and tells your body it's time to wake up fully. Most people roll over and grab their phones. They flood their brains with blue light and notifications before their biology has even caught up. But when you start your morning with sunlight, you anchor your energy to nature's clock instead of technology's. Over time, your sleep improves, your focus sharpens, and your energy stabilizes throughout the day. This isn't about standing outside for an hour. Just a few minutes can make a difference. It's a habit so tiny you might dismiss it until you notice how much easier it is to wake up, how much calmer you feel, and how much more consistent your energy becomes. Morning sunlight doesn't just wake your body, it wakes your life. Habit 2. One line a day. You don't need to write pages of journaling to change your perspective. All it takes is a single line a day. One sentence that captures a thought, a moment, or a feeling. This habit works because it lowers the barrier. You don't need the pressure of filling a notebook or writing something profound. Just one line, and yet when you string those lines together, they form a record of your growth, your struggles, and your resilience. Months later, you'll look back and see how your thinking has shifted, how you've overcome challenges you once thought were permanent, and how much you've grown without even noticing it in real time. The power isn't in writing a lot. The power is in showing up every day, even if all you have is a single sentence. That's how perspective is built, not in grand insights, but in tiny daily reflections that add up to a map of who you're becoming. One line a day can quietly change how you see yourself and, in turn, how you live. Habit 3. The 2-minute tidy. Your environment shapes your mind more than you realize. A cluttered space quietly breeds a cluttered head. But here's the thing. You don't need a full cleaning spree to reset your environment. All it takes is 2 minutes. Pick one surface, one corner, one drawer. Spend just 2 minutes clearing, organizing, or putting things back where they belong. That's it, 2 minutes. It seems too small to matter, but over time it rewires how you relate to your space. Instead of letting mess build until it overwhelms you, you're building momentum through tiny resets. The 2-minute tidy doesn't just make your room cleaner. It trains your brain to see small actions as powerful. It builds the identity of someone who takes care of their environment. And when your space feels lighter, your mind does too. 2 minutes a day is all it takes to transform chaos into clarity. Habit 4. Daily movement snack. Most people think exercise only counts if it's an hour at the gym. But your body doesn't work on all or nothing terms. It craves small, frequent bursts of movement throughout the day. What researchers call movement snacks. It could be 10 push-ups, a short stretch between tasks, a quick walk around the block. Just a few minutes to remind your body it was built to move, not to sit frozen in place. These micro movements don't just strengthen your body, they sharpen your mind. Blood flow increases, energy rises, and your brain resets. Instead of fighting fatigue with caffeine, you're fueling your system the way it was designed. Over time, these tiny bursts add up. You're not just the person who exercises, you become the person who moves. And that quiet shift in identity transforms how you feel in every part of your life. Movement snacks don't just keep you healthy, they keep you alive to the day you're living. Habit 5. The 1-minute pause. Most of your stress doesn't come from what happens to you, it comes from the fact that you never pause to process it. You rush from one thing to the next, carrying tension forward like an invisible weight. That's why a single minute of deliberate pause can be life-changing. Close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths. Let your shoulders drop. For just 60 seconds, you step out of reaction mode and let your system reset. It's not meditation, it's not complicated. It's simply giving your nervous system permission to breathe. This tiny pause interrupts the cycle of stress before it spirals. Instead of carrying frustration from one meeting into the next, or from work into home, you clear the slate. Over time, these 1 minute resets create a calmer baseline where you don't just react less, you live with more presence. 1 minute won't change the world, but it can change how you move through it. Habit 6, the 2-question evening check-in. Most people end their day on autopilot, scrolling, zoning out, or collapsing into bed. But the way you close the day shapes how your brain stores it. A simple 2-question check-in can quietly shift your mindset and build momentum for tomorrow. The questions are, what went well today? And what can I do better tomorrow? That's it. One captures gratitude, the other captures growth. Together, they reframe your day, not as something that just happened to you, but as something you're actively shaping. It only takes a minute, but over time, these micro-reflections change your self-image. You start noticing wins you'd otherwise dismiss. You start seeing mistakes not as failures, but as lessons to carry forward. Your days stop blending into one another. They become steps in a visible pattern of growth. By asking 2 questions each night, you quietly train yourself to wake up tomorrow with more clarity, focus, and purpose than the day before. Habit 7, the compliment habit. One of the smallest ways to transform not only your relationships but also your own sense of connection is to give one genuine compliment a day. It doesn't have to be dramatic or over the top. In fact, the simpler, the better. Your idea in that meeting was sharp. I like how you explained that. That color looks great on you. Tiny acknowledgments most people overlook. Here's why it matters. Compliments create upward spirals. A single sentence can shift someone's day, which changes how they treat others, which circles back to you. It also rewires your own focus. By looking for things to compliment, you train your brain to see the good in people instead of the flaws. Over time, this habit transforms the way people see you too. You become the person who notices, who uplifts, who leaves a trail of light behind, and the energy you put out is the energy that finds its way back. One compliment a day doesn't just brighten someone else's life, it reshapes the atmosphere you live in. Habit 8, single tasking. In a world that rewards multitasking, one of the most radical habits you can adopt is doing just one thing at a time. No tabs in the background, no phone buzzing, no half-distracted attention. Just one task, fully. It feels almost uncomfortable at first because your brain is hooked on the dopamine of juggling. But when you give something your full focus, 2 things happen. The quality of your work skyrockets and your sense of calm deepens. Single tasking is like weightlifting for attention. Each time you resist the urge to split your focus, you're strengthening your ability to go deep. And the deeper you go, the more progress you make in less time. Over weeks and months, this habit doesn't just make you more productive. It changes how you experience your life. Meals taste better when you're not scrolling. Conversations feel richer when you're not half listening. Work feels more meaningful when it's not constantly interrupted. Doing one thing at a time isn't just efficient, it's transformative. Habit 9, the cold finish. Transformation doesn't always come from comfort. Sometimes it comes from a brief encounter with discomfort, the kind that trains your body and mind to adapt. One of the simplest ways to build this into your routine is the cold finish. At the end of your shower, turn the water cold for just 30 seconds. It's small, but it teaches you to stay calm under stress, to breathe through discomfort, and to remind yourself that you're capable of more than your mind first believes. Physically, the benefits are real. Improved circulation, reduced inflammation, and a jolt of alertness that feels sharper than coffee. But the deeper transformation is psychological. Every time you choose the cold finish, you reinforce the identity of someone who does the hard thing, even when it's uncomfortable. It's not about loving the cold. It's about proving to yourself, day after day, that discomfort doesn't control you. And that belief spills into every part of your life. Habit 10, digital boundaries. Your phone is the most powerful tool you own and also the biggest thief of your time and attention. Tiny moments of checking can quietly add up to hours lost. That's why setting small digital boundaries is a habit that can completely reshape your focus. It doesn't have to mean quitting technology. It can be as simple as turning off non-essential notifications, charging your phone outside the bedroom, or setting a cutoff time at night where screens are done. Each tiny boundary gives you back a piece of your attention, which is the most valuable currency you have. Over time, these small shifts restore your ability to be present. You stop reacting to every buzz. You stop feeling tethered to constant stimulation. And instead of being drained by your devices, you start using them with intention. Digital boundaries don't make your life smaller. They create space for the things that actually matter. Habit 11, the gratitude cue. Gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a practice. But for most people, it feels vague and hard to hold on to. That's why attaching it to a simple daily cue can turn it into a life-changing habit. Pick one trigger in your day: brushing your teeth, making coffee, turning off your alarm. Each time it happens, pause and name one thing you're grateful for. Not a list, not a journal entry, just one thing. It could be as small as the taste of your morning drink or as big as the people in your life. What matters is the consistency. By pairing gratitude with a cue, you're training your brain to scan for what's good automatically. Over weeks, this rewires your focus. Instead of only noticing what's stressful or missing, you start spotting what's working. And that subtle shift changes how you experience the world. Gratitude won't erase your problems, but practice daily, it will transform how you carry them. Habit 12, 5 pages a day. Reading a book can feel like a huge commitment, which is why most people put it off. But transformation doesn't require finishing books quickly. It only requires consistency. Commit to just 5 pages a day. That's it. 5 pages might take 10 minutes, but over a year, that tiny habit adds up to more than 15 books. And more importantly, it keeps your mind in a constant state of growth and exposure to new ideas. This habit works because it's too small to fail. You don't need motivation to read 5 pages, but once you start, you often read more without even trying. And even if you don't, the slow accumulation quietly compounds into knowledge, insight, and perspective that most people never build. 5 pages a day won't impress anyone in the moment. But a year from now, it will make you someone who thinks differently, sees differently, and lives differently. Habit 13. Weekly reset. Life piles up quietly. Tasks, clutter, unfinished thoughts. If you don't clear it, it becomes background noise that weighs you down without you noticing. That's why a weekly reset is one of the most powerful small habits you can adopt. Set aside just 30 minutes once a week to reset your life. Tidy your space, review your priorities, clear your inbox, or plan your schedule for the days ahead. It's not about doing everything perfectly, it's about giving yourself a clean slate to start from. This habit doesn't just reduce stress, it creates momentum. You stop carrying last week's chaos into the new week. You move forward lighter, more organized, and more intentional. Over time, the weekly reset becomes a ritual that quietly transforms your sense of control. Instead of always catching up, you're starting ahead. And that small shift changes how you experience the entire week. Habit 14. Micro acts of kindness. You don't need grand gestures to change the way people experience you, nor the way you experience life. Tiny, consistent acts of kindness are enough. Holding the door, sending a quick, encouraging message, helping someone carry something, or just offering a genuine smile. The power of micro kindness is in how small it is. Because it's easy, you can do it often. And each act, while forgettable to you, can ripple far more deeply in someone else's day. You may never see the full effect, but it lingers. The surprising part is how much it changes you. When you look for small ways to help or uplift, you start moving through the world with more openness. You stop being so consumed with your own worries and start tuning into others. That shift makes you lighter, more connected, and more fulfilled. Micro kindness doesn't just improve the lives of others. Practice daily, it quietly reshapes your own. Habit 15. Early bedtime cue. Most people treat sleep like an afterthought. Staying up until exhaustion finally wins. But the truth is, nothing transforms your energy, focus, and mood more than consistent quality sleep. And the easiest way to improve it is with a simple cue. Pick one small action that signals to your brain it's time to wind down. It could be making tea, dimming the lights, putting your phone away, or reading a few pages. Over time, that cue becomes a trigger that tells your body it's safe to rest. The difference this makes is subtle at first. You wake up a little clearer, a little more energized. But stacked over weeks, better sleep compounds into sharper focus, steadier emotions, and a stronger body. Everything gets easier when you're no longer dragging yourself through the day half rested. A bedtime cue isn't about discipline, it's about rhythm. And once you find yours, life feels lighter, brighter, and far more manageable. Transformation rarely happens in loud, dramatic moments. It happens in quiet, consistent choices that compound over time. A few minutes of sunlight, 5 pages of reading, one line in a journal, 30 seconds of courage under a cold shower. Individually, these habits seem too small to matter, but stacked together, they change everything. They shape your mind, your energy, your relationships, and ultimately your future. The question isn't whether these habits will transform your life. The question is whether you'll give them enough time to show their power. Because months from now, you'll either look back and see how far you've grown, or you'll wish you had started today. Start small. Pick one. Let it ripple. Because the person you'll become is built in the smallest moments you choose to repeat. If this gave you something to think about, make sure to subscribe for more videos like this. And if one of these habits resonated with you, leave a like so I know to make more content around it. Your future is being built quietly. Every habit is a choice, and today is the perfect day to start.